I have a simple question here. Do you believe that FEMA needs to be involved with drug enforcement and border patrol? Now, I'm well aware that it can be considered an emergency, but they've been doing this for quite a while. It's called Operation Stonegarden. They provide grants. So money going to FEMA is supposed to be tasked with dealing with the border and with drug enforcement. Um, if you take a look at a Office of Inspector General report, and this just came out, the FEMA fiscal year 2023 Operation Stonegarden performance measure prosecuted narcotics cases accurately reflected Operation Stonegarden's contributions to the president's national drug control strategy. Now, mind you, this has been going on. This was going on under Biden. This was going on under the first Trump administration. Although FEMA's fiscal year 2023 performance measure contributed to the strategy, FEMA did not fully comply with federal law and Office of National Drug Control Policy guidance for reporting Operation Stonegarden's performance. Specifically, although FEMA provided annual data since at least 2020 on Operation Stonegarden performance measure for inclusion in ONDCP's National Drug Control Assessment, it did not provide the performance targets it as required under Title 21. Okay, so they're underreporting, and they're involved in something that FEMA is not normally known for. So let's let you take a look at. I've got two clips. One is talking about how Operation Stonegarden works with local law enforcement, and a clip from 6 months ago, and that clip was. This is how long it's been going on. It's been going on for 9 years, longer than 9 years, because the first clip is from 9 years ago, 6 months ago, and this is just with Trump having been elected. He wasn't president yet at the at this, so I'm going to let you hear from the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta, on how they don't want to work and they're not wanting to get the money on this. So let's get the clips out, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you some interesting information. So here we go.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Well, several Valley law enforcement agencies will continue to getting a boost from the federal government to fight border crime.
As Action 4's Annalise Ortiz found out that funding is crucial for some smaller departments. Annalise.
Marcy and Eddie, illegal activity happens along the border every day. And for small police departments who don't have too many people on the force, well, it can put a strain on the entire city. Now, over the years, Operation Stonegarden has helped change that.
Fighting crime in a border city with only 26 people on the force can be a tough job.
We were responding a lot to back up Border Patrol along the river. And even when they had pursuits splitting over into our cities, we were assisting them tremendously with our manpower.
Extra funding from the Department of Homeland Security has made that easier since Palmview Police Department started taking part in Operation Stonegarden in 2010.
Palmview police officer hears on this radio that Border Patrol needs assistance. They're ready to be there without having to worry about straining the police department with overtime pay.
Across the Rio Grande Valley, several departments were just awarded a total of $4.1 million for overtime expenses and equipment. Not all of the Stonegarden money is spent in border cities. Cameron County Sheriff Omar Lucio says rural cities that are farther north of the border can draw just as much crime as along the river.
They also work around the areas where we feel that some of these people were carrying drugs and what have you, maybe traveling, out of the rural areas trying to avoid detention.
Without the money, Lieutenant Uvalle fears the city would have a tough time keeping up with the demands and the costs that come with protecting the border region.
Lieutenant Uvalle also noted that the police departments who are receiving this funding meticulously record where the money is going and how the officers are spending their days. Live on the border, Annalise Ortiz, Action 4 News.
And you mentioned the sanctuary state status, obviously, in California, taking a lot of pride into that. One thing in a lot of red states is Operation Stonegarden, which allows overtime for local officers to work as Border Patrol agents to help them out. And a local Border Patrol union spokesperson actually just said to us, with the national emergency, they're pretty much expecting that they will receive help from local and state agencies. But of course, you made that reminder that that is illegal for them to do. But with Operation Stonegarden, if the national emergency is called, will California actually plan to adopt that? Will they be forced to adopt that? Or do you plan on local agencies kind of sticking that ground and not assisting in any way?
Local and state law enforcement agencies and government entities need to follow the law of the state of California. That includes SB 54, the California Values Act. They are prohibited from cooperating with, assisting, providing resources to, or personnel to any federal enforcement of immigration law. The federal government is, of course, able to do its own job, but they're not allowed under the 10th Amendment of the United States Constitution to conscript or commandeer local resources in California to do their job for them. So in your scenario, the proposed participation of local or even state law enforcement is strictly prohibited under California law.
And kind of a quick follow-up to that, if there is word that maybe a local or people in the state agencies plan to assist, what message would you want to send to them?
You will be breaking the law, and we will take swift and a strong action to prevent you from breaking the law of the state of California. We follow the rule of law in California, especially law enforcement agencies who know better. If they knowingly break the law, there will be consequences. We'll get involved and we'll prevent them from taking that action. So it's strictly prohibited in California. You need to follow all laws all the time, including state law in California, and law enforcement agencies know that very well. We'll be sending out a bulletin providing clear guidance on what SB 54 prohibits, what it permits, and it does permit some action under very narrow circumstances, but generally it is a law of prohibition of participation in a role that is given to the federal government. So we will provide that guidance to make sure that there is no confusion and there is absolute clarity. And if there is violation, including knowing violation of the law of California, we will take swift and decisive action.
Okay, so you heard all of that. Now, according to Homeland Security Grants.info, Operation Stonegarden Program, OPSG. OPSG supports enhanced cooperation and coordination among Customs and Border Protection, United States Border Patrol, the federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement agencies to improve overall border security. OPSG provides funding to support joint efforts to secure the United States borders along routes of ingress, egress to and from international borders to include travel corridors in states bordering Mexico and Canada, as well as states and territories with international water borders. In 2024, the national priority is enhancing information and intelligence sharing and analysis. Okay, that is from that. Also, history of funding, fiscal year 2024, they provided $81 million in grants, $90 million in 2023. 2022 was $90 million. So, yeah, they've been providing quite a bit of money. So, according to immigrationforum.org, it's a federal grant program administered by FEMA, component of DHS, part of state Homeland Security grant program, provides funding to state, local, okay, I've already covered that, Funds are used for additional law enforcement personnel, overtime pay, general purpose equipment, travel, and lodging for deployment of state and local personnel, among other applicable activities to improve overall border security. In fiscal year 2020, Congress appropriated $90 million for Operation Stonegarden, the same amount they appropriated in fiscal year 2019, and 64% increase from fiscal year 2015, when the grant's budget was $55 million. To be eligible for Operation Stonegarden, entities must be state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies that are located along the U.S. border. These include counties and federally recognized tribal governments in states bordering Canada, Mexico, and states and territories with international water borders. Now, in fiscal year 2019, more than 70% of all grant funding went to states along the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, there are some criticisms. Critics have expressed concern that increasing coordination between local law enforcement and federal authorities undermines trust between immigrant communities and law enforcement. I don't see that. You're protecting these areas while draining resources for more urgent public safety priorities. Operation Stonegarden's performance metrics, some law enforcement leaders argue, are increasingly in tension with crime reduction and other priorities. While Operation Stonegarden's grant primarily tracks efforts such as miles driven, hours worked, number of traffic stops, immigration-related contacts, and number of arrests, it omits metrics relating to longer-term public safety efforts, including community engagement, problem-solving, and crime prevention. See, I don't see that as... This doesn't sound like a crime prevention thing. But I thought I'd give you that information. So, this is my question to you. And it really is something that I'm wondering about. Do you think that FEMA should be the one that is handling this? Do you think this is in the wheelhouse of FEMA? Or is this using the wrong agency to handle a situation? Now, I honestly think that FEMA should be used more for, hurricanes hitting parts of North Carolina that should not have hurricanes hitting them. And Tennessee getting hit by hurricanes. Or other natural disasters and similar situations. Because FEMA has been known to be badly managing what's going on in those situations. So you're putting a priority on all of this. Now, this sounds like something that the main part of Department of Homeland Security should be handling, in my opinion. This is Redneck Thinker, so this is my thoughts. Or DEA, or Customs and Border Patrol. I don't think this should have been under FEMA. I think it's a simple fact of that somebody screwed up when it came to this. I think that they should have been putting this under other agencies. But answer that for me. Do you think this should be a priority of FEMA? Or do you think it needs to be moved to a area that, of the government that has better access to what is needed? But you tell me. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.